guys, it's me, Ruowen Huang. I'm back again. But before I begin, let me first introduce myself. My name is Ruowen Huang. I'm an author, spirit coach, and also a psychic. Today, I want to talk about a very cool topic, which I don't think most of English-speaking people will have to encounter this, but it is somewhat quite common in Asia, especially from Southeast Asia. So it's one of the I call it dark magic. Honestly, I really don't know how the mechanism work, but I quickly do the Google. Like when I was a kid or when I was young, I heard people talk about it, but honestly, I never thought of it seriously. So I didn't think it's possible or I didn't think it's doable until I personally encountered it a couple times. And basically, this particular dark magic is people are able to use a spell to bound a soul with them, therefore become their minion or become their servant, or they can order them to do things for them. So in Asia, we call it raising ghosts. You basically raising a ghost. So what it did is on the website, it says you bound any soul like somehow died before they were 3 years old, collecting their blood or collecting their remaining, sometimes can be stillborn or something like that. Then it casts a spell to bound their soul. So, within certain period of time, if you're able to get their full name or birthday, then you're able to carve it into a wood, therefore transfer their soul into a wood. So what you do is every day you kind of give out a set of food or feed them, basically feed them, pretending they are there. And in that way, when you need them, you'll be able to assign them job, so for them to do something for you. So anyway, as you can see, I'm probably like many of you who believe it or don't believe it, but honestly, when I was young, I actually don't believe it's possible. And until later on I encounter, through my psychic journey, I pretty much see anything. So when later on I saw this is actually possible, I myself was in shock too, right? So I cannot really tell you from the point of view how to raise a ghost because I never done that before. But what I have done so far is I learned how to release them, free them, and try to understand why, what's the purpose of them being together. So in my psychic journey, I see many different setting or occasion or scenario of raising ghost scenario. Very commonly you see people raising one or two or three. That is you will have them. You will know who their owner is and you know who they bound to. Because what you do is, or what people do not see, is in order to raising this ghost or in order to bound those ghosts with you, something had to give. You are actually using a soul because human form don't bound a soul. In order to bound a soul to you, you have to contribute or kind of spring out a line from your own soul in order to bound them. So soul bound soul. Human doesn't bound the soul. So I don't know most of people who are interested in raising the ghosts are aware of it, but I'm just gonna share my personal opinion or what I've seen so far. So basically the host will have to contribute their own energy, vibe, soul, whatever you call it, and then bound those ghosts with them, spirit with them, in order to keep them living or keep them together with them. So there's some kind of spell. I actually don't know what kind of spell it is. So, they use their intention or they use their word or something of mind to control the thing, to do things for them. So most of people, the commonly I see is between 1 to 3. New beginner will probably experience, will probably raise couple. But then I do see on the bigger scale 6, 12, or no, 6 and 12. The most I see is 12. So when it comes to 12, they usually seem some kind of intention. They want to do something greater scale, or they want to do something bigger. But honest with you, so far, I seen anybody who raised the ghost or tie themselves or bond themselves with so many spirits like that, they usually don't come with a great intention, and you can really feel it. So what it does is when you reach to the number, it's usually a number multiplied by 6. So I don't really understand why 6, but it seems to, if you go above 6, you will have some kind of line like bond them. Then you go up to 12, you have some kind of line of bonding all 12 spirits together. And the line that bond them also had the different as red line and gold line, which I honestly, from my personal experience, if it's a red line, if those ghosts was bonded by the red line, it's easy to use scissor to cut it, or any knife that you can imagine, or any sharp weapon that you can imagine. If you do have it and your imagination is great, you can pretty much break any red line bonding ghost. But if it's gold line, some reason all the sharp weapon cannot cut them. You will have to perform a ceremony or some dispel it. So in order to cut it, you have to dispel it. You have to put them in some kind of dimension that they are not bounded by certain spell. So you have to dispel it. Then you're able to cut it. So I do realize the power of it. The gold line bonding ghost would be way powerful than the red line bonding ghost. So don't ask me why there's a red line, what's gold. I actually got no idea. See, I'm the one who cut the line. I'm not the one who come up with a line. So I'm just saying from my personal experience, I do realize the line, they are different, and I haven't seen any other line yet. It's very commonly, I would say almost 95% of people who have interest in arresting ghosts, they do use red line, or maybe that's all they can use. So it must be depending on how powerful they are or things like that. So I'm mumbling away because, as you can see, I'm trying to make something that doesn't make sense to you guys. So if you don't have imagination, just bear with me. So basically, what people do is like raising an army. So each ghost they are able to capture, which I think is very brutal because they're not able to born, or they die young, and therefore their soul cannot free to the next level, and being trapped on this dimension to do things for somebody else, like almost against their will. So you can see how it really doesn't make sense. And what I also realize is not everybody doing this for bad intention. I do encounter there are few doing this for good intention. Few, but they do exist. So what's the difference between them is you can see the whole vibe and energy of the ghosts that they raise is completely very different. They will become more peaceful, grateful, and sometimes they believe as a ghost helping other people is somewhat in some level helping themselves too. So even when the time that they release them, you can see some of the ghosts will choose to continue staying because they like that feeling of being able to help people. Most of them will move on because, every soul have a tendency of evolving themselves, but there are few occasions some ghosts will choose to stay because they do like their host and they do enjoy how their intention helping them to help other people. But the reality is not everybody doing this with good intention. Most of people don't. Most of people raising the ghosts have a greed in mind. They have intention try to hurt those people who mistreat them, or in order to get some wealth or things like that. Understand, anything that you get as a soul, not in a proper way, you have to pay back in some way. You do have to pay back. So anyway, what ended up happening is whatever bad thing that you ask those ghosts to do, the karma will bring it back to you. And the worst case that I do see is if somehow, some way, those ghosts do get free. That is, their soul is no longer bonded by you and no longer tied into your soul. They seek for revenge. Their revenge is usually like build up or accumulate depending on how long you keep them to you. And also depending on the thing you ask them to do. So most of the time, the result or the story I heard or the consequence I see is never pretty, because people are simply collecting their own karma debt. So they are having a taste of what they're giving out to people. So anyway, I know this broadcast almost doesn't make sense to you guys, but then it does exist in Asia, which mostly commonly see in Southeast Asia. And then if nowadays there's still some place to exercise it, Thailand would be a place. So anyway, not a topic, like a lot of people are still good-hearted people, so don't just walk around thinking everybody try to set you up. The reality is, if you have a very strong soul and then you are not easily influenced by anything else, even people who try to cast a spell on you, they usually cannot do much damage on you. The reason you feel, oh, people putting curse on me, and you really effect for such a long time, usually it's because you have fear continuously feeding it. You're feeding toward, you have a thought, you have a fear, continuous feeding, like impact or effect. You're not really let it flow smoothly. That's why you were really absorbing that. So it's not really people cast a spell on you, therefore, you are cursed forever in your life. Understand, if you are mind strong and then you have a very good energy around you, usually other people is not able to interfere or impact your life for more than 5 days. I'll try to be safe, 7 days. I'll say 5 days probably average, but then just to be safe, not more than 7 days. But there are ways to free those ghosts that have been not properly in jail or whatever. As I say, most of the time, if you see them, 1 or 2 or 3, understand they have this string line. It's almost like flying a kite. So basically, it's the host to the ghost. They have this string line, like bond them together. That line, as soon as you cut it, you freed it, then you're really freeing that soul. So anything sharp weapon would do. Rare occasion, if you see a group of them, which I would say is usually the number of 6. So above 6, not everybody's bound, but they could be bound. So if you happen to see a line around them and then they form a circle, what I can say is you don't have to go cut every single one. Usually if you cut the line that bond them together, then the line will free itself. So really, whatever the intention of the host is, whatever decided what kind of consequences they will have to receive later on. So, rare occasion, if you do see a group of them, which up to 12, and I don't know, maybe they're bigger, 24, but so far I only see 12, and been bonding on the gold line, no, you cannot just cut it. It doesn't matter how you sew it, it doesn't work. But you could perform great mantra for 3 times to dispel it, and then you should be able to cut it. So anyway, it is, if you guys are interested, if you're not interested, that's okay. Just one of those things mumbling away. Probably doesn't make sense anyway. So again, if you like what I'm doing, you can always join me live to Facebook, or go to subscribe my YouTube channel. Don't forget to watch 30-second commercial to contribute to my coffee, or my website, ruowen.com. Till then, next time. Bye.